We have a game with the white pieces against Beko Lism. Joined 24 hours ago. Awesome. So they play passively, which means we're going to take full control over their center, developing the knight, hitting our pawn. We're going to develop the knight and protect the pawn. He can now go into Philidor Pirc or this, which is Czech Pirc. Play c6, controlling our knight, controlling the center. It's fair. Still kind of passive though. So I'm going to throw in the move f4 and gain further control over the center. I'll develop my knight behind it. He plays queen a5, a standard move in the Czech Pirc, pinning the knight, threatening to take the central pawn. We are aware of this, so we'll simply develop a piece and protect. And we have a nice strong center. He plays e6, more passivity, restricting his own bishops. I wouldn't be surprised if the computer can get away with g4, g5 here, but I'm just going to develop a knight towards the center. I have 3 pieces out, he has 1. And now, that's one of the problems with being passive, is that when you do push, if you push the wrong pawn, it could be devastating. Here we get to push past for free. He can jump in, but that still can't be good for him, so I'll allow it. He should probably jump in. If we take, okay, he goes back, so this is just worse. I mean, you could play c5 and stuff, but it's all so slow compared to normal French, let's say. Also, after the simple developing move bishop d2, you kind of have to go home with your queen, so it gives us free moves. If you don't go home with your queen, you have to watch out for knight discoveries. Okay, he goes to c7 instead of home, but it's kind of blocked in lots of different ways. Probably not the best. We could castle. We might be able to just go f5 immediately though and try to open his position. e5, I mean f5, c5. Knight b5. Queen home. And we can just take. Okay, so let's go f5. He's so undeveloped. I don't need to be more developed. I have all 4 of my minor pieces out. He has 3 at home. This one's terrible, so. Okay, and this is what happens if you play ridiculously passive. There's nothing wrong with something like the Czech Pirc opening, but you have to know how to play it, and you have to play it aggressively at some point. He goes f6, trying to break down our center on the dark squares, but hanging other stuff. So let's take this for free because it hits the knight, which does not have good squares. Okay, so he moves to the side, so we'll ignore that. Now what do we want to do? We could take more stuff. We could just castle though. I kind of want to get a rook lined up with his king. You have lots of options here. Let's just castle, get our king safe, and now we can do whatever we want. He takes back his material. His bishop is going to get pinned at some point. We could develop pieces, we could improve pieces. Decisions. Okay, I guess. So many moves. Which one? Queen e1. It lines up with the king as well as tries to improve it this way, because otherwise the knight's in the way. And by going here, I get to threaten f, e takes f because the bishop's hanging, so I get to improve it for free. He doesn't notice. Now you could just improve the positioning of your queen, your bishop, stuff like that. You could even go b3 and just shut the knight out of the game. But I'm going to take here because it's for free. so I'm taking free material. And now, well, he misses it, so that's just a free piece. And the game is over. And you can see the logical sequence to lead that led up to this. So now he's pinning himself. So we can just develop a rook to the other. And this is an open file. This is a semi-open file. Don't make the mistake of putting the A rook on the D file and the F on the E. That's a lot weaker than having them where they are. And our development is so impressive that even if material was even, the game would still be over because our threats and positioning is way too strong. So he hangs a rook. And maybe we can just set up a mate in 2. Bishop here, queen here, because the bishop's pinned. So he just resigns, which is the right thing to do. And let's go through the game. So we try to get a Jopava London, but when they play passive, we play stronger moves. We immediately control the center. He attacks it. Development and center. And then if you're going to be so passive, I'm going to be more ambitious. And I play center with improved development. Brings the queen out. Development and center. Makes a weird pawn move that blocks his own bishop. Plus 1.4. I did nothing. Development and center. Plus 1.8. Then he tries to make some type of pawn move that maybe opens the bishop. Immediately goes to plus 2. When you can kick a knight, you do it. I guess if he jumps in here, yeah, your knight's pinned, but who cares? You could probably just take this and then hunt the pawn. It's probably just really bad for him, so. What does the engine say? Take, and then, yeah, then just hunt the pawn. So we kick the knight, and he goes back. Plus 3. You don't need to do this move, bishop d2, but you can always throw it in these positions because his queen always has to make this retreating move. Because at some point, knight d5 becomes a threat, and this happens in multiple openings. And then the bishop eventually goes to somewhere better, but for the time being, you know, this is a fine move. He goes back. And I know f5 is a move, but what else do we have? Okay, so you have weird pawn moves here that I wouldn't waste time doing. We have queen e2, which sets up for f5. We have castle, which sets up for f5. We have knight to g5. Hitting the light squares, and if he kicks you, oh, you can't because of the queen. Oh, that's annoying. If he brings the thing here, we're just supporting it with like h4 or the queen. Yeah, that's a strong idea too. Knight g5. I like that one. So out of the moves they recommend, I like knight g5 and castling. They don't mind f5 plus 1.5 still, but I do like the other ones as well. This seems very forcing though. His best move is to take, which is what I thought he was going to do. And I was just going to take with the bishop, saying, you know, I have this pawn here. I'm going to castle next. Hit you on the f file. It looks reasonable to me. But he didn't do that. He pushed past, so it's immediately plus 5. We take free stuff. Turn this off. Castle, king safety, and development. Development, and for free, because it comes with a threat, which he doesn't see. Free stuff, free stuff. Developing for free, because now we're threatening the pawn at the very least. Then he just blunders the rook, gets mate in 4, and he resigns. We have 9 average center pawn loss, 98% accuracy. So a perfect game and a perfect example of what happens when someone plays the passive setups. A lot of people don't know how to proceed. You proceed by putting minimum 2 pawns in the center, oftentimes 3. You add the c or the f pawn depending on which way you want to play. And then you put your pieces out. all I did. And once you gain space, your opponent starts feeling cramped and makes your life a lot easier. So hopefully this helps. You play against all the weird perks and passive stuff. Good luck in your chess and meet your rapid games in my Discord. Goodbye.